So, welcome to the DJ Force X podcast. Today, I'm joined by the band Mercers. They are a new alternative rock band born from a long running creative partnership behind the band Phony, if you can remember them. Their debut EP, the Liminal Tapes, blends reimagined classics with bold new material, including the politically charged single "Cleanse, Repeat." This is the band stepping forward with intent, identity, and a lot to say. Phil, Ollie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Awesome. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I know we chatted briefly before. As I said, very excited to be here. So, yeah, been looking forward to it.
I mean, it's been a while since we've crossed paths, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I'm going to go into the origins of the band. But yeah, that's basically where I like to start, especially with new bands, is how did you guys get together?
Oh, I'm going to do this one now. So I've been bullying Ol to do some music for years, 20 years, in fact. And
hey, don't give away our ages, okay? It's been a couple of years.
It's too late, mate. Yeah, so I did a thing maybe 2010 called Lands, which was this post-metal thing, and I basically wrote it for Ollie to do the vocal.
Yeah.
And he just weren't keen. And then there was a bit of chatter about kind of re-recording a couple of old songs just to kind of a cathartic, just put it to bed, because we were never particularly happy with how it all went down and the final product. And so we started that process, and then I got Rich involved, who's the drummer, who I knew from he played in 6 Times Champion.
Okay. Yep.
And I'd done some pre-pro for them in my studio years ago, and I kind of phoned him. I said, "Look, we're gonna re-record these tracks. So do you want to get involved?" And then we chatted and we hung out, and then we ended up kind of writing some stuff by accident, I guess. Not by accident, and then the emphasis was kind of shifted from kind of putting something to bed, which was the idea, to then just kind of saying new. So it was kind of a happy accident in a way, I guess.
Nice. Well, I just want to add to that. I want to touch on the bullying aspect of it there. But Phil was quite clever about it, because what he did was and this is, it is going back years. We'd meet up in the pub and we'd say, "Oh, we really need to do something," but it was that kind of, at the time, drunken, that drunken kind of, we'll definitely do something, and then you wake up and it doesn't happen, and your paths are taking different directions anyway. And then, I think Phil phoned me up a while ago, and it was like, "Do you want to do this?" And it's almost like a purge. It was like, and I guess we'll talk about the liminal aspect of it. That's the name of our EP, the liminal tapes. And it really was very much that. It was very much like kind of an in-between kind of thing. And in the time that I'd been off stage, because I think stage time counts for a lot, you kind of build up some insecurities, and then you've got the pressures of past experiences that are weighing on you in that respect as well. And so we did a bit of that, and I got in the studio, and Phil was producing it, and he was really good. And it was like, I was like, "Look, do I need to do that again?" He was like, "I don't think so, if you want to." And really relaxed, really good. And those first old Phony covers were very much, they were kind of a catalyst, really, in me going, actually, I could do this again. And, obviously styles change a little bit, and you kind of cater for age. But then we talked about potentially doing it live, and I wasn't really keen. And then we went round and we were editing one of the songs a little while ago, and Phil and I was like, "What's that?" And he went, "That's a microphone. It's an SM58. Do you want it?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then a couple of weeks passed, and Phil said, "Oh, I'm just going to practice with Rich in the studio, just jamming, nothing more. Do you want to come down?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, I'll pop down." And then he sent me a link, said, "You might want this. You might want to get an amp and some in-ear monitors." And I was like, Yeah, okay, I'll do that. And I got in. He's like, "Oh, do you want to just try singing?" And it was, I know what he was doing, and it worked. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the slightly longer version. So
No.
sorry
Cool.
about the length on that one, but yeah, Phil passive aggressively bullied me into doing this, and it's the best thing that I've done for 20 years. So
Love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, going back to Phony, I mean, that's where I know you guys from. We were signed to the same label for many years. We toured and played in the same circles for many years, all that kind of stuff. So, like, as soon as I like this thing, I got the thing from Gary, and I was like, and literally, I think it was about 2 weeks before that, someone asked me, "Do you know what the guys are up to?" Like Phony, like I have discussions on various like new metal boards and all that kind of stuff from back in the day because I kind of do this, so I get a lot of conversations happening. And it came up, and I was like, "Oh, do you know what? I don't know." So I found Routine Irregular, and I got a copy of Circles, a promo copy of Circles as well. So I was sort of listening to you. I was like manifesting it, I guess. And then I got the email from Gary. And I was like, "Shit, well, how crazy is that?" But I mean, like I say, going back to that, I mean, it was interesting you called them covers um in that origin story of the band where you called it like the two Phony songs covers. I mean, I know they're not Mercer tracks in that respect, but it like, I think it said in your in the like the press release, it's like this is a continuation. I think I found that quite interesting. Because I was sort of wondering like what was the I don't know the details of what happened with you guys first and foremost. So this is like a question out thing like why not bring back Phony? What was that ever an option, or was it literally that chapter was done? Like we can't really open that box, if you will, and
I,
come to
I
that.
think I, I think it was kind of done, and obviously there's some legalities around the name, and because it was, is a company, as a
Yeah,
lot of bands
yeah,
are. Um, yeah, it was weird because like we wanted to. There's none of it on the internet because it went kind of south pretty quick, and it was just a bizarre time, and I don't want to kind of delve into it and point and start getting weird about it, but because that's very very long time ago now. But it was just always a bit of a shame there was none on the internet, like legacy wise, and there was like various different reasons for that we weren't really privy to, and it was kind of like held back, and it it's like hard, as I'm sure you know from being in the scene as well. Your stuff is like out there on
yes,
Bandcamp and other things, and so we just like I think we weren't initially even thinking of putting these out. We
okay,
were just going to do it, and I spoke
I
to
wanted to.
yeah, Ollie wanted to, but I was working in a studio like up to about a year ago. Like had a kid like fairly recently, so kind of not doing recording as much anymore because it's just it's just chaos. So I need to say a little bit more regular. But there's a guy there called Merrick De La Fuente who does a lot of production work. He's quite well known. He's a singer in Exist Immortal,
okay, yes, yeah,
and yeah, he works at my old work, and he's got a space there. And he's like, dude, you gotta like put it out, man. Like you can't just be like coy and old and sit on it. You gotta put it out. And so he kind of convinced me to stop being a hermit with it. And then obviously Ollie was keen. So yeah, I think the continuation thing is just like I don't know. It's like yeah, it's part of us, our DNA,
yeah,
but it's not what we're kind of doing it the way we want to do it now. Whereas from being in a band yourself,
yeah,
when you have a deal and there's elements, you have to kind of do things in a certain way, which sometimes I guess it's like being a politician. You're kind of compromising some aspects of morality, I guess,
yeah,
in a way.
yeah.
So this is
Yeah,
like not like that.
No,
yeah. People talk about that, they're doing it their own way and doing it very DIY and stuff like that. But the truth of it, as you know, is that there are limitations and there are certain pressures, and you don't have unlimited amount of time to make music. You don't have and all that kind of stuff. And but I think going back to what Phil said, I think the the kind of continuation is Phil's and my kind of musical chemistry, I would guess, to put it in an overly philosophical way. But because like Phil said, we weren't really planning on doing much more than just putting it to bed. It was really to close the door on something and to kind of banish some demons. And then it was ironic that it was through that process that we realised actually we still had a story to tell. Sounds a bit wishy-washy, but we still had that songwriting kind of chemistry. And it's very, very weird how comfortable that becomes very, very quickly, and how quickly you get back into that, and you know how each other writes, you know what's going to come next, and you know what each other want and stuff like that. And that's just Phil and me. There are two other people in the band as well who had a great dynamic to the band, and in terms of the songwriting as well. So yeah, it wasn't just closing a door, it's actually opening a door, and that music kind of runs, or music generally runs through our bones. So it's yeah.
Cool. I mean, that was something strange I was going to bring up actually, is that I couldn't find anything on, like, obviously I subscribed to various things and streaming services, and I couldn't find anything. There were other artists called Phony, but they're like totally different genres, totally different. Couldn't find anything on it, so that's why I had to dig out the CDs. On that,
what's the CD?
Sorry, what is it?
What is the CD?
It's like a drinks coaster.
Yeah.
If you put them in the microwave, they make a cool little light show, I've heard.
They make really good things for scaring birds in the garden as well.
Okay. That's true.
God. But I mean,
CDs.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Physical media. I say that I'm surrounded by vinyl in here, so there is a future for that.
I see they're trying to bring back the cassette as well, which I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not, but sonically it's definitely not.
Sonically, no, but for the kitsch value, probably.
Yeah.
You want to kick it
off. Like the MP3 of like our generation, the tape, innit?
Yes.
Like the latter days. Like we had the low quality MP3.
Yeah.
Our kind of parents had the tape,
Yep. Exactly.
Although we did have the tape as well. So
we did.
Can't completely send them down the road.
Yeah. Depending on how old you guys are. There's a few.
We're not.
There's a few.
We're not old.
Not old. I just like fully grey. So but I mean, like I say, like we played a lot together back in the day. Like I said, we're on the same label, all that kind of stuff, and that's what basically that attracted me to this. I was like, oh my God, what happened to you guys? But like from when obviously Phony split. I mean, you mentioned a little bit in the intro there, but what have you guys been up to? Have you been up to anything musically in that time? Have you contributed to any music in that time? Because it's like I found it when my band split. I ended up going sort of. I kind of did that, when you break up from someone, you go into a couple of other bands for a bit, and you do other things in that respect, and kind of trying to scratch that itch that you might have had for performing or writing, recording, things like that. Have you done anything in between between this and Mercers?
I mean, I'll answer that first because mine will be shorter. I didn't. I left, just to briefly touch on it, I left the band before they broke up. And they did one more album with a different singer, and I'd fallen out of love with it at the time. It kind of, we were burnt out, and you hear it a lot. That happened, and I kind of fell out of love with it a little bit, and I wasn't even really following bands for a bit, and Diamond Eyes though kind of got me in 2010. It was 4 years later. That was what kind of reignited my love for music again. So yeah, I didn't do anything. I mean, I write a lot of poetry, stuff like that, and that never changed. But no, I've done nothing musically since.
I think we did one more record after Ollie left, and I think it kind of all imploded in 2006. And yeah, I did a math round. I did like a post metal band, but I was doing I got really into recording, and I've ended up kind of doing a lot of live front house sound. And as I said, up to last year, I'd been 5 years like managing a big recording studio in Gatwick. So I was kind of more I didn't like tour with the front of house stuff, but I did weirdly as well. I did a lot of theatre sound, which is I hate musical theatre, and I was doing that, which is weird. So I've kind of like I never really got one foot out of it. But it was really weird. Like I was saying to Ollie the other day, like I did like 3 bands, and I'd kind of almost self sabotage them,
Oh,
and it was quite interesting. Like did a couple of bands with Steve, who used to be in Fony as well, and kind of the same kind of people, and it kind of gets us a certain stage, and it just kind of get no further, and yeah, and I'm like, oh, like, I kind of fell out of love with it for a bit. It was really hard, and it, you know, when you've done it at a level and things have to be a certain way. I did a band kind of fairly straight after, and it was a little 3-piece, and the drummer had been in a band that you'd recognise the name of, Hiding with Girls. Do you
yeah,
remember?
yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, and amazing singer. Still really tight with him, a guy called Bracken. And this is no disrespect to him at all. It was just like you're kind of teaching someone the ropes, but you're worn out from it, and that's not on him at all. That's me, kind of being like, and then you kind of realise potentially you shouldn't be doing it, because if that's wearing you down when it does actually get hectic and
Yeah.
you're doing a tour, you're going to react kind of quite badly. So yeah, you know, you kind of you know, the narrative is, as you're saying, you can scratching that itch. Really, you know, I think if I'm honest, probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, in my sort of like spirit, like I said, I went off. I was sort of like a from Zero Cipher. I went on to a band called, well, I can't remember. I ended up being a DJ in that band for a bit.
I wasn't sure if you're going to mention, because I've listened to quite a lot of your podcasts, and you always mentioned that you used to be in a metal band, but you never mentioned a name, so I wasn't sure if I was allowed to mention it or not. But
Oh
you've
no,
done
no,
it now,
you
so
you can't.
it's
I went through a lot of phases of mentioning the name, and then I was like, maybe people. Oh, it doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, and like I went on to I can't even remember their name. I was only in it for like 5 minutes, but we played like a bunch of really cool gigs. Like one of the small, like when Slam Dunk was tiny, band in like festival in London, and like supporting Headpiece, all that kind of stuff. You know, the stuff we kind of did
Nice.
in our bands. And then that band kind of imploded, not because of me, just other aspects. And then I started to front a band for a bit just to see if that's scratching in. I did that for a couple of years, and then I fucked off to America for about 5 or 6 years and started this.
Yes.
And all that kind of stuff. But there is that element of like a lot of people don't tell you like when you're in band, because there's no training for being in bands as such unless you go through like Brit school. I don't know if they'll tell you this, but you know, it is like breaking up, like a relationship, like having a divorce, like going through that. You go through the same emotions. Like, obviously, I've go through relationships and stuff like that have fallen apart. You get, and then when the band fell apart, it was like, why am I like? Because you spent so much time in a van in really close quarters with a whole bunch of people, and it's really difficult. And like you say, you kind of self sabotage stuff because you think things should be a certain way. You get that level, like we got to a level, you guys got to a level where you know, things were a bit more professional, things were a bit more like, you know, you were getting perks of the job, if you will. You know, treated with different level of respect when you're playing certain venues and stuff like that. You know, weird thing, ego stuff like that. Um, but yeah, they don't train you to deal with that kind of breakup.
no.
And then it only took me, well, I say it took me a while to get over it because I DJ, so I had a performance aspect. Would sort of scratch that itch, and like I said, join these other bands and stuff like that. But I only realized when me and Duncan kind of got back in contact a couple of years ago, and basically he put an invite out for like finishing off what we started back before we split because we were writing album number 4 at that point. And he had all the demos and all that sort of stuff. And he was like, "Do you want to finish them?" And I did that, and it really like once we did that and closed it really closed the door on it. Like it really like because I always had this like inkling that there was something missing. Like we should have, you know, put something else out, or you know, just to have it out there, like stuff I'd put time into, stuff they put time into. And yeah, it like took me that long. Like we split in
Mhm.
09, um, oh wait, 08 or 09, one of the two. And then like in 2024, it really closed the door on it. Because now I'm like,
Yeah, that's wild.
it is what it is, and this is what I do now. This is like, and it just weird. I don't know how it didn't dawn on me beforehand. But like I say, you don't get any counseling for it. You don't get realization because only a few people know where you've been, like, and where that goes and where that puts your train of thought and everything. It is easy to fall out of love with it, like you do, Ollie. It's like I can't hear you, man. You're like,
You're muted.
yeah,
Yeah, that was silly. Yeah, I should clarify that as well because it's you know, and people are listening to this kind of stuff and other artists talk about stuff and it's you know it's very unromantic maybe compared to what people think about it, and it's not undermining that at all. And it's a weird thing to say, falling out of love with music, because in reality that's not the case. You know, I've music's punctuated my life as it has. Most people were in bands for that reason, and you kind of, you know, it's in your DNA. It's I guess it's just recalibrating that or rediscovering that, I suppose. But yeah, certainly, and you're right. There's a thing, and you don't get counselling on it, and there's always something there, and you don't know what it is. And it turns out, if you're a musician, that's what it is. It's that you just got to get back out there and do it again in some format. And yeah, for us, this is what it is, and it just makes sense again.
It's age though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's age because when you're, like, everyone's been in bands. There's always like a band tourist or someone that's like, is you're carrying them or whatever. There's always a like little aspect of that in a lot of bands, and I see it a lot from recording. Yeah, I've seen some things in the last decade doing that. Christ, but it's that thing where it's those little like niggles where there be an interplay of someone shutting someone down, and it's not creative, it's ego, and it's like narrative then talking. Where because we've kind of put this together in a slightly different way, there's no bad ideas. So I
that's,
think it's just like the juxtapose of like how it exists now isn't the same. We're not like hungry mouths trying to get, it's everyone's like it's flat, if that makes sense.
And it's not, you know, that's not it is a negative thing, but you don't realise it until you're older. You know, it's that thing, you can't put an old head on young shoulders, and it's a rite of passage. You know, you are egotistical and you do want to get your two pence worth in, and you want to make sure your bit's heard and your bit's louder and all that kind of stuff. And you know, time passing definitely changes that, because you have a perspective on things, and you're able to listen to things, especially for me, you know, who wasn't involved in it for 20 years, I guess. You listen to other things and you're like, oh, and you can appreciate things as a whole,
yeah,
not when, you know, we were 18. I was 18 when I joined the band, and again, same as you don't have counselling on breaking up with bands, you don't know how to be, how to act, how to you know, like you touched on it as well earlier, that you know, you're in very, very close quarters with people, and people always ask, oh, what's it like touring and stuff, and it is fantastic, and it's great, and it's, you know, it's a lot of people's dream, and I fulfilled a dream doing it, but it is like being in a relationship but with four other people.
yeah,
But you don't wake up in the morning and say, bye, see you when I get in. You know, you wake up and you have breakfast with them, you have sound check with them, you know, you go to sleep, and they're there. And so it is challenging, and that's the unromantic side of it. But yeah, I think time passing definitely allows you to look back on that and appreciate what was good and disregard what wasn't so good.
nice, nice. Well, I mean, let's move on to the new things. You got two new tracks on this EP. One which people can hear now, which is called Cleanse Repeat. Do you want to take us through that one? It's quite, I'd say the term politically charged, um, on that front, to put it lightly. But do you want to take us through that? Like, because this is like you say, it's a continuation, it's a comeback for you guys, like on this scale. And it's a hell of a track. I did listen to it before. Like I was like, yeah, let's get these guys on. Like it wasn't just like the email intrigued me. I listened to it and I was like, yeah, because he sent me the single as well. But yeah, let's talk about that. Like Cleanse Repeat. It's out now for anyone that's watching or listening now. Tell us about that one. Who wants to take the role?
I'll let you start.
Go on.
Well, okay.
Okay. You go for it. The lyrics are the music's not politically charged, is it? So
no, I mean but it's and it's very different to what we used to do. Well, not very different, but it's definitely got that more post-hardcore kind of edge to it. And you know, when I heard it, it was inevitable what it was going to be, not necessarily lyrically, but it was inevitable. It lent itself very much to that sort of anger and that you know, an abrasive approach vocally, I guess. But it was also, and we started writing that, you know, I started writing that over a year ago, and it was at a time, and unfortunately, we are still at that time where, you know, the world was giving me a lot of pause for thought, what was going on. And I do think about these things a lot, you know, and it was, I mean, I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but in terms of, yeah, I mean, it is about the globally illegal destruction of the Gaza Strip, but at the same time, the kind of demolition of Western democracy as it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I guess what I mean by that is, you know, you've got what's happening in the Gaza Strip, and that has been happening for decades, and on both sides. But you know, the last couple of years have been, yeah, it's been pretty bad. And on top of that, you've got the big Western nations that have got a lot of clout in the world, that are members of the United Nations that were set up to control these kind of things, and those big nations aren't doing anything about it, and not only are not doing anything about it, but are quite directly, you know, the cause of it in terms of supplying arms and things like that. And then you parallel that with, you know, you've got global world leaders who act like cartoon characters, who are kind of allowing these kind of things. And, you know, even in the UK, we're kind of standing by and, yeah, I mean, I could wax lyrical about this all day. So that, you know, and I am very passionate about about all that. And so that kind of came out of that. And yeah, gradually, you know, there was one iteration of it and then another iteration of it. And then unfortunately, ironically, in fact, the illegal war in Iran at the moment has kind of made those lyrics more relevant, which is unfortunately, you know, it's one of those things where I take no pleasure in that. But it has come out at a time when it's even more relevant than it probably was when I started writing it. So,
yeah, I mean, it just goes to show like how this shit doesn't change. Like you said, like what's going on over there has been going on for decades, both sides, you know. But it's like people aren't learning from it. I find they're not like I mean, there is a collective of people that, like yourselves, are shouting out about it and you know, putting your voice out there to kind of at least try and like point people in, say, the right direction. Because there's like, look at it like obviously in the States, I lived out there. I watched the first time round when the current leader was campaigning, and you could watch the style that they were taking with it. Like I knew early on that I was like, yeah, he's going to be there at the end. Like between him and whoever at that point the Democrats picked, was being Hillary Clinton. But you could see it happening, and you could see this rise of, I don't want to call it stupidity, but just ignorance.
And massive polarity now. I mean,
Yeah.
there's such polarity between, and you know, there's no there's no middle ground anymore, and people aren't willing to have conversations. It's, you know, if you, for example, if you vote this, you must be all this. And if we, I mean, we had it with us leaving the European Union in 2016 with the vote, and a lot of people voted, you know, ignorantly. It was something that it happened. It seemed to happen in a very condensed manner in the last couple of months, and everyone was whatever. And I mean, it's not. It wasn't only from that, but I think that's ever since then I've really noticed the kind of, I guess, yeah, the polarity between the two, and a lot of hate, a lot of hatefulness. And yeah, it's yeah, I mean, really it's a perfect time really for me to get back into music, because you know it's a great way to vent it. So
Yeah, no, it is. It really is. It's one of those like platforms you can really kind of put anything kind of out there, and it can be cathartic. It can be you know, it can incite, you know, thought and conversations, and that's what you want. You want to incite the conversation. You want people to talk. You want both sides to talk with each other and hopefully come to some kind of understanding. Because you're right. It's like if you think or put, you know, you vote that way, you are that. You vote this way, you are that. If you're sat in the middle, you're a pussy kind of thing. Because it's like you're not taking sides. And that's not how it should be. It should be an open conversation between all parties to try and come to some kind of like, you know, understanding of the status in the world. Of like one moment something being banned that was something that wasn't like, you know, that seems like more of a human nature thing to keep going, like, you know, various like LGBTQ plus things and all that kind of stuff, which is quite close to my heart. And you know, and there's all these things sort of coming out around the world, and it doesn't feel safe for like one of my kids to go traveling because of, you know, their sexuality or their gender. And it's just kind of like, how do we get to this point? How do we get back to this point? You know,
yeah,
because there was a point where things were kind of opening up a little bit, especially for that community. Um, and now
yeah,
it feels like it's
and you're
closing
right.
up.
And now it's how do we you know, we could be sitting here now, it could be the 50s. How do we get back, how do we get out of that? And it's, yeah, it feels like a little bit of regression, and it sounds really unhopeful. But I don't, you know, I refuse to believe that, because I do believe that, you know, given the chance, most human beings want to do good, and they want to do the right thing. But yes, it is sad, and I think I guess that's the repeat side of the cleanse and repeat, and it feels like, you know, unfortunately we've been doing it for decades, and the powers that be, you know, the major nations of the United Nations, which unfortunately is, I think, a redundant body now, because it's, you know, isn't fit for purpose. But you know, those nations pick and choose. You know, when Milosevic was carrying out his atrocities in the 90s in Yugoslavia, you know, we were there and we said, no, you can't do that. That's ethnic cleansing. But as far as I'm concerned, what's going on in the Gaza Strip is ethnic cleansing, and I feel quite passionate about it, because as you know, I'm a person of Jewish heritage, so I feel like I'm able to say this. I've got other heritage as well, but you know, I think, you know, and there's this huge thing now about, you know, if you call a global world leader who happens to be of Jewish heritage a war criminal, then you're an anti-Semite. And I feel that's a really, really convenient way for someone to be able to carry out those atrocities. And I feel we're in a really dangerous position with that, when we fought really, really hard to you know, to say, well, no, and that's always the thing, isn't it? People say, let that never happen again. But there's been one year of peacetime since the end of the Second World War, and you know, that's where we are. So yeah, it's something that's pretty
We
close to my
never
heart as
learn.
well. So we never learn.
Never learn, never learn. But no, no, I tell you, yeah, yeah. You just got to have hope that you know, I'm guessing at this point for me, the next generation, you know, hopefully not be or, you know, not to be oppressed in their views, and then when they become the people in charge, hopefully, you know, bring that playing field level, or at least open up the conversations to have and seek understanding and seek, um, you know, wisdom in it all, because that feels like what it's missing. Like there's a lot of distractions in this world. I mean, you know, you sit online, you sit on whatever on your phones. Distractions every 10 seconds, if that, every millisecond distraction. And that's kind of where we are. And there's a lot of, like, I know from my kids and stuff, they got, like, you know, a lot of them are turning off that feed, which I think is really good. They're putting limits on themselves. Like mine are putting limits on what things because they know that they're trapped in it.
But
And
I think that's really good. I think, you know, it's almost like, and I've always hoped, this has always been my hope because I've got kids as well, and my hope is that the kids will do what the straight edge kids did in, you know, like in New York, and went, actually it's cool. We get like, I mean, it started out as, you know, as a necessity, but they were like, actually, we're gonna embrace not drinking, and we're not going to do drugs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of hoping that you know, that Gen Z get to a point where they say, actually, it's going to be cool to not be on your phone all the time and go out with your phone and stuff. It might be naive, but it's a hope.
No,
You
I
know?
think it's there a little bit. You know, I recorded a couple of, you know, late teen bands, hardcore, like indie bands, such, and you know, they're not big on the booze like kind of our generation was, and they're, you know, they're about safe spaces and like looking after each other. And I know, like, kids, a lot of kids, I'm not saying these, you know, they're teenagers, but kids don't want to get fucked up like we did, because like you're just going to get videoed and shamed, you know. And
exactly it. Yeah.
yeah,
So there's a
yeah,
good
I've got
aspects to
shamed for
it
my
as well.
behaviour, but no, I still carry the shame of all the stuff I did. It's just it's not on video, you know. It's like it's just a slightly different, like, yeah.
It's almost
I think
shame.
it's positive though. Like, I think shame what?
It's like shame for the wrong
Shameful.
reasons.
Yeah, no, it
You
definitely
know,
is.
shame out of born out
Yeah,
narcissism because you don't want to get caught doing it. Whereas, you know, we feel the shame because we did it.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
They get caught. Um,
yeah.
but no, that's definitely it. I was watching something the other day, and there was a guy bringing up that exact point of, like, the kids aren't going out like we did, not going, like, because the nightclub culture was dying, basically, the DJ kind of thing that I was watching. And like club owners are like, they've really struggled. It's like the venue trust people, like that sort of thing. But nightclubs generally don't exist apart from in the few big cities anymore. Like, I used to DJ
yeah.
this club in Woking.
Is that the edging court?
No, it was Quake.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Aging Court still exists. That is
Is
that.
it still going
Oh, cool.
strong?
It's now a monthly rock club as opposed to a weekly, but it's still there. I DJ with Brad at the club I do in Guildford. So, um, but yeah, that's still going. But Woking was like I wouldn't say a super club, but it was like, you know, a good 1,000+ capacity. Um, and over the years, we've been going 20, 24 years now as this club, and we've gone through various different venues, and now we've got a monthly night in an all bar one,
Right.
which is like,
How times have changed.
I know, right? And it's just like, it's watching that, like, and watching it on a big scale. Obviously, you've got the big festival DJs and they're doing whatever they're doing there, but the clubs have gotten small again. They're like the tiny, sweaty venues we used to play. Uh,
Mm.
and I like watch a lot of, like, you know, my friends who DJ videos, stuff like that, and they're tiny clubs, like, tiny, like the nightclub doesn't exist like it used to. And
No.
they're sort of pointing that on, like, the kids are too afraid to go out. Like, they'd rather stay home and game or anything like that, which was a dream back when we were younger. Um, because people can record them. So if they're dancing and they're feeling self-conscious, when we were like that, we just danced. It didn't matter if you looked like a twat, no one remembered. Well, they did for like 5 minutes after the night, but they were so drunk it didn't matter. But now everyone's got their phones and they can, like, oh, look at this twat, and then put
Mm.
it up on whatever platform. Um, and they said, like, that side of things, like, has killed that part of the nightlife. People go out for quiet drinks, all that kind of stuff still, that's fine. But like the nightclub and stuff like that, it's just like, because of that I would say it's a because of that danger, I guess, or that, you know, that, and then that's online forever. You know, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, there's no, like, I can go online and look up various things from the past and you will find it. Like, be it via a search engine, or I think something called the Wayback Machine that archives or has archived the internet. up to a certain date. So all your like GeoCities websites and everything, you can still find it on there.
Wow.
Want to go back that far? But yeah, it's like I'm hoping that generation will, like I say, switch off, and we'll see that that change, hopefully.
Switch off and just be kind. I think that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like if everyone was just kind and accepting and understanding, I think,
and present.
And present, yeah. Because I mean, like that, it's ironic, isn't it? Going off on a tangent now, but it's ironic that social media, the whole point was about connecting people, but there's such a disconnect. It's almost done the opposite now, and by design, by all accounts. But it's but it's it's not forever. I don't believe it. I think people want to connect. People want to be with people. People want to be kind to each other, and yeah.
We're a social creature, so we should be with other people and where they're from. If anything, during COVID, that taught us that we need. It's fine, obviously, your family, if you have a family with you, but some of those people have that. And you need that place to get together and just talk. But yeah, you got another track about that one now.
Agreed.
You got New Stockholm.
Yeah.
Which again, I think that one hits on some like on the mental health aspect.
Yes, it's a weird one because it kind of intertwines two themes that you wouldn't necessarily put together, and they kind of came together by accident, because when I wrote the lyrics to that, I was going through a bit of a moment of, I guess, introspection personally, and but there was also the inescapable fact, ICE was happening, the way that ICE were treating people in the States as well. And so I wrote lyrics that could kind of, if you could look at them from two angles. You can look at it from, and when you read them, hopefully, people can get it. And I don't normally go too much into my lyrics, so I'm going to leave it open to interpretation to an extent. But in you can look at it from one angle, whereby you're beholden to the part of you that wants to bring you down. You're almost looking at at that side of you as another entity. But that entity is, and the more you kind of let that happen, the more you allow yourself to kind of find some sort of affinity with it, which is obviously the element of Stockholm syndrome. But you can also look at the lyrics completely differently, and you can look at them in terms of what was going on, or what is currently going on really with the anti-immigration in the States, and the brutal response to people just voicing their free speech, which is going out protesting peacefully for the most part. So yeah, they kind of came together by accident, but they're but both of those themes are as important as each other. And I think hit as hard as each other, because mental health as well is a big thing, and that we're finally becoming a little bit more aware of and taking it a little bit more seriously. And I feel that maybe we should be doing that as well with the way we look at I guess the way that people are being treated for voicing their free speech.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going on sort of sonically, the track is sounds huge. Like, to bring it onto the sort of, like, I guess, the production and musical side of it. And compared to the two Phony tracks you put on there. Actually, I was going to ask, why those two tracks from Phony in particular?
I was a bit sneaky with that. I was like, these ones, because I like them. That was about as deep as that went. Okay. I think also, like, originally when they were recorded, they were the ones that I think suffered the worst from the way we recorded it and the production, the mastering. They were the ones that needed to, like, be sonically done in a certain way, and I think they really were the ones that came out bad, in my opinion. So,
and not necessarily
they were like the ones I really liked.
Yeah,
it's just not how we wanted them, I suppose. And because that's something to say as well. Really, is that whilst we weren't necessarily happy with the process and the end product, I mean, I'm you know, those songs are great to me, and and I look back at when I wrote them. I didn't write the songs, but lyrically, I'm really proud of them. And then I listen to, the musicianship, and I think it's great. And I think the songs are great. I think they're put together really well. And I think, I mean, and I think Phil, we haven't really necessarily discussed it that specifically, but I think they kind of deserve to be heard in a well, and they deserve to be heard at all, to be honest, because like you say, they weren't out on any streaming service at all. But they're great songs, and I think they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be be reworked.
Well, everyone can hear that. The Liminal Tapes. It is out on July the 17th. Right? Yep, July 17th. You're releasing the whole thing. We're out now. You can hear Cleanse Repeat. It's out now. Are you planning to release any other tracks before the date as well? Are you going to kind of tease the other ones, or are you going to?
I think the No, I think the second single's next month. Then we're just putting the two other tracks on there just as B-sides, and yeah, I think we're just going to start kicking back and getting some new bits together for maybe another EP or something as well. So.
And are you planning any live shows coming up? Obviously, you've got sort of band together. Are you planning anything?
Yeah, I think so. We're looking at it. We're just being a bit like we've been offered one or two things that we weren't like super keen on, and you could, not that we can be super picky because we can't. We've got zero clout, but it's got to be like the shoe's got to fit, I guess. So we're going to go and do a bunch of stuff and I think as you after you've done your like main band, you go to your little side project stuff, and you're playing like Wednesday night to 20 people. It kind of like loses its sheen a little bit, doesn't it? So
got to be like when you are in this position, I was kind of in the same thing as if I'm going to play live with a band, it has to be somewhere where I know, it's going to be worth it. Like, I know you can't always it's that kind of like you said, I don't have any clout, can't really pick and choose, but you know what's good. You've got a feeling of what's going to be good. So potentially a local show would be, probably an optimal thing. But then doing that, obviously you're doing that with the Phony name. Are you doing that? Is there something with that? Are your sort of when you had like local fans, are they hoping that they tap into this? But it's just kind of it's just sort of making that I guess making that choice and seeing where that lands you, because you can get offered the old Boston Axe and Cleaver, if you remember that place, on a Tuesday night in Boston, random place, 50 quid for the show. You can always get those shows. A lot of those venues still exist from back in the day. There are ones dotted around the country, but especially when you're coming back after a prolonged period out, you kind of want a few say creature comforts, but you want it. It's going to be
we want it to
take you back to that all again.
Yeah, exactly that. It's got to be decent, and we've got to it's got to be the right time. So we're just kind of seeing what's happening. I think my main focus is just the kind of getting the EP out was quite all encompassing, because originally I was going to mix it, and then we got Neil Kennedy to do it, which I think was a good fit. And it came out good. There's always teething stuff with getting EPs done, but we did the drums down the ranch in Southampton, and then we tracked the guitars and bass and all the bits, and I recorded Ollie doing all the vocals. And I compiled it to be sent off, but that was almost as much work as mixing it. When you're doing and he basically got everything was treated apart from the drums and the vocals pretty much. So I kind of mixed it, but halfway through the process, my main music PC bricked, and it was a nightmare because you've got all your plugins and everything set up, and I got like, and I've just had a kid, so I'm a bit skint, and so I had to like get some burner machine, and it was just like shitting out, and I went over to Rich's and we did all the like drum comp, came back, and it was just it like lost it in the and I'm just like, what? Like the universe was just like, oh, have it. And it just kept going, and I think I was doing like 3 or 4 hours every night for like a month to get it keyed in, and I'm really happy I did the work because it's, you know, it's like it came out as good as it could.
Yeah,
and
you
know,
I had it going in my studio here, and it sounds big. Like,
thank you, man. Like, no regrets.
Yeah, thanks,
so yeah.
No, that's all good. That's all good. And yeah, I mean, good luck with the EP when it comes out. Obviously, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how people react and this podcast. And I'll put it up in some of those forums or chat areas that I have that we were talking about you guys like recently. And so I was like, look what happened, guys. We manifested this.
Our ears were burning.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because we something came up the other day, and another weird link is that we had a bassist that I think played in Zero Cipher for a while, and we were chatting, and I think Phil, you were like, oh, what was the band he left? And we were like, oh, Zero Cipher. And then a couple of days later, our drummer was like, oh, it's weird that you say that because you know, we DJ Force X wants to have us on his show, and we were like, we manifested that. So I guess it's a joint manifestation. Yeah. But it's great, man. It's great, and what's great is being able to go over old ground with people that are kind of in it at the same time. It's great.
It's nice to have that. Like, it's nice to reminisce of that time as well because it was a good time. I mean, I remember seeing you guys play with like Funeral for a Friend. You played the Agincourt with a friend. In fact, it was one of our like Schism promotion nights. I think we did there, which is the rock club that we did. But yeah, we saw you guys play there, and obviously I saw you guys play in London all the time. We played together in various, I think, Uxfest stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, intertwined. Obviously, you know, being on that on Casket Records. I'm still in touch with Jose. I'm still in touch with Ryan, Ryan Barlow, I should say, because Ryan is the name of the bassist as well. That joined. He joined us after you, actually, because you recorded. I think you recorded Circles, and then shortly after that, I don't know the story because like we were just looking for a bassist, so he either left or so I can't remember what it was. But Ryan, yes, I'm still in touch with him. He now works in the gaming industry. So he works for a company called Endreams, if I remember rightly. I think he still works for them, and they kind of make VR games and stuff like that are their main forte. I live in the central hub of the gaming industry, where I mean, Guildford has all the big Guildford, Farnham, and that lot have all the sort of like big gaming developing houses. So like EA are based in Guildford. We've got a couple of the sub Sega, like 2 Point stuff like that. I've had a couple of people on this show, in fact, but that whole area is like 10% of gaming industry in the UK are just based in Guildford.
That's wild.
But yeah, Ryan works there anyway. Let's go from there. But no, I still, like I say, still keep in touch with people from back then, just purely because we all went through the same thing. I've had Earth Tone 9 on here a few times because they made a bit of a success. Well, I say a successful comeback. They released some good albums recently.
That's a great album.
Yeah, man. Fantastic. They got Jason Bold to do the drums on that. Actually, when we went to do the drums for the EP, I saw Lewis Johns up in the little coffee room up in the studio, and he showed me the Earth Tone 9 book. They released. I don't know if you know about this, and it is wild because you're just like flicking through it, and it's like, he's like, oh, I've got it here, and like we had I'd never met the guy, Lewis, lovely bloke, and he played bass on that last record. But they got Jason Bold to do the drums on it as well, which is mental because that guy is an absolute machine. Absolute machine.
So that book you're talking about, I got given that as a present for my kid. and it literally it just raised so many emotions going through that book. Because I remember, like, I know it's all centered around Earth Tone 9, but it was like some of those shows I remember I was there, and like some of those pictures, and like, yeah, it just brought back all these memories from back then. But yeah, if anyone wants, let's
they
go back
were
to topics.
uh, yeah, the Earth Tone one of those bands that, and they might not have wanted it, but you know, they should have been bigger than they were, because I mean they're an absolute force. We toured with them, and you know, we made sure we watched them every single night, because they're, you know, Carl is incredible frontman, but even more than that, he's an amazing singer. So yeah, it's great. I'm really happy that they've come back, and they're still doing it. So
Yeah, no, it's like I traveled to go see them live and various things when they got back together. Yeah, they just sounded like they did back then. Like, if not now, they sound heavier.
yeah,
Kind of upped it. Like their last album, like Crackers, like Something Roulette. I mean, it's a really good track. It's like one of those, like when Tatouage Massi came out, and you're like,
oh,
what the hell is this? And then Arctangent came out, the whole album. You're like, fuck, they've done it again.
yeah,
Banger.
But it's like, yeah, but like I say, back then, like that sort of like circuit of bands and stuff like that, you know, I still sort of keep in touch with members of Vacant Stare and stuff like that as well. So it's like that whole movement we had back then, that UK, I call it a new metal movement, because I think that's what it was. I mean, mainly because I was the turntablist in a band, but it was, you know, um, but it was such a good time. And like things like this just bring back those memories again, the good memories.
great. I've every so often I like go online and see if Vacant Stare might have done something as well, because that was the first tour I think we ever did, Phil. Am I right? Yeah. And again, all great guys, but
first long tour,
great live show. Yeah, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
but unfortunately not
mental funny.
No, it's one of those things where people, like, you know, I think there would be a calling for it, but I don't know what half of them are up to, like musically. I know, obviously, I'm main person I keep in touch with is the DJ, surprisingly enough.
Ross. Yeah.
Ross. And I know he
Ross, yeah,
got big into roller derby, not playing it, but he was like the manager of like the England team and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And then he kind of went off to do other things as well, and it was like, you know, no real like call for, because they're another band that should have been big. They had a lot of momentum at one point. Like they were the UK's answer to the sort of wave of everything else we were getting at that point. And yeah, I don't know what, like I said, I'm not privy to a lot of stuff, but I don't know what happened in the end. They released the album, and occasionally I'll put that album on.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Sick.
Yeah. A great
Vindication.
album.
Yeah.
I found my local record shop the other day for £2. So I left it there at the front for someone else to pick up. But hell, I found one of the Zero Cipher albums in a charity shop before. So it's like,
that's when you know you've made it, though.
We always said that. When you know you're in the, I mean, this is, you know, one for the older audience, but when you find your album in the bargain bin at Woolworths,
yeah,
you knew you'd made it.
Exactly.
Look at us now.
yeah, making the mad money.
That's it.
Got a couple of pennies here. But no, I was gonna sort of like hit you with my my closing questions, so we can kind of like
go
into those. But if you have listened to the podcast before, you might know what's coming. If you haven't got through it that far. But what I like to ask are, what are your 3 most pivotal records? I'm not talking your top 3 of all time. I'm talking the ones that you heard when you were younger, and it like, I wanna sing, I wanna play an instrument, or, you know, it turns you on to heavy music, or it turns you on to a style of, you know, those records that change your life. Like I said, they're not your best records of all time, but the ones that you heard any time in your life. In fact, it could have been last week. You could have heard something that totally changed your wing. Whichever way.
It's a really tough question.
It is.
It's tough, and I've I've listened to the show and I'm still unprepared because, I imagine it's the same for a lot of people because it's very hard to, I mean, there are some that I can pinpoint,
Yeah.
that, there were times when I'm like, oh, but it's still very hard because, there's so many. So I'm going to let Phil start with this and just have a little
Oh, you
think.
dick. You dick. No, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I've got this. I've got this. So I think, yeah, when I was
You've
like,
got this, Phil.
I've got it. I'm going to do it. So I think Nirvana, maybe, Incesticide.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, because I think in like 91, 92, my sister went on like this French trip and bought the Nevermind record, and I was like, because I was like mucking around with rock stuff. I had like a guitar when I was like 11, 12, but it was all like, kind of boomery rock stuff. So it wasn't kind of drilled down into, and when you're that age, you're always like looking for something heavier or more edgy or whatever brand. So yeah, I think like Nevermind. When I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit, I was like, WTF, this is mental. And it still sounds fresh today. So no wonder. And yeah,
When you say
I remember.
WTF, do you mean what the fuck?
Yeah, but I didn't want to swear because we can't swear too much. Yeah, you go, Ol. And I think Refused Shape of Punk was probably the next big one for me because it just. I was with Ol when I heard it. I think we were around your house and we were like 19.
It was New Noise. It was New Noise, and it was on. Weirdly, it was on. I think it was on The Box. Do you remember that show? You could vote. You could like request a song. That was so weird, but yeah, New Noise. Yeah, incredible.
And yeah, like I bought the record instantly and just was like, "This is mental," and they'd already split up by that point. And then I guess the other record, I think when I was at college, so it's probably around about the same time because I was kind of late to the party, was Aphex Twin Richard D. James, which is just the OG. You wouldn't have breakcore without that record, really, or a lot of IDM ultimately, because he has paved that record, just changed everything.
That I mean, Aphex Twin, like tracks like "Come to Daddy" with I even love his analog bubble bath random like releases that he did back in the day.
Yeah,
and stuff like that, and Drugs as well, another one.
Yeah, I love Drugs. That's such a good record. I bought that the day it came out from R Price and Leatherhead.
That does age you, by the way.
Another one for the older audience.
I mean, you already said Woolworths, so
yeah.
No, I mean,
we're not doing well here, are we?
That's all right. It's all right. Refused. I mean, fantastic band. Like that track, New Noise, goes so damn well in the club. Always goes down really well in the club. And I had a random moment with that when I started working over in the States. Like we had these like morning, like before we open meetings, and the manager of the store, like older guy, like you wouldn't know it, and he's like, this is the song that I listen to in the car on the way here or when I wake up, like get myself in the mood. And he starts New Noise. I'm like, I fucking know this track. No one else around me. There's like 20 other staff members around me. No idea what it is. And it got to that point where he goes, yeah, that's great. And I did that at the same time. The thing. Like I seem to be the only one, but such a good.
Yeah, it's killer.
And Nirvana, I mean Nirvana, fucking kings, immortal band, I would say at this point. Incesticide is a really good. I don't think people give it such the props because it's always eclipsed by Nevermind. But yeah, that and obviously Bleach is another good one. But Incesticide is good.
Yeah, Incesticide just got that post-punk vibe that they didn't really get credit for.
Yeah.
And also, it's when you hold it up against those two albums, it's although Incesticide and Bleach, it's Nevermind sounds very, very polished, but you can't understate its significance in in terms of music. And that's a great album as well. It's not one of my albums though. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I still want my
So now you
albums.
threw me under the bus hole, so you could have some thinking time. What are you saying?
Yeah. So it's your turn now.
So it's a weird one actually. When I was younger, Delicate Sound of Thunder by Pink Floyd. It's a live album by Pink Floyd. 88, I think it was. I was brought up on all that kind of stuff anyway. Bowie and the Doors and Pink Floyd and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all that kind of stuff. But I think weirdly it was Dave Gilmour's guitar playing that made me want to be in a band. And there was a very distinct moment when I realised I couldn't play guitar. So I decided to do something else. But that honestly, Dave Gilmour is probably the reason that I ever wanted to be in a band. And that album, I mean, it's got all the greats on it. It's got stuff on Wish You Were Here, Dark Side of the Moon, all that kind of stuff. But it's live, and you're just like, and he's playing it live, and it's perfect. So that as a I wouldn't necessarily say it was a desert island disc of mine, but it was. I always look. I know that was the reason that I ever wanted to be in a band. So there's that. And then the next one is strange because I was always into the heavier side of music, but I hadn't really discovered real heavy music. So I liked Metallica and stuff like that. I mean, obviously Zeppelin, Black Sabbath through my dad, and then I got into like Metallica and stuff like that. And I was at school with some friends, and my friends like, "Oh, do you like this?" And I was like, "No, it's too heavy." And then one day I saw, and I think it was on Headbangers Ball. Again, I'm showing my age, but it was, and I saw Roots Bloody Roots, the video for Roots Bloody Roots by Sepultura, '96, and that in a way changed my life because it was in 30 seconds. It was like, wow, heavy music can be, can be amazing. And so that kind of, I guess, progressed me from Metallica to real heavy stuff. You got like Max Cavalera, like really like, and then the album Roots was just, to me, even now, to me, that was the catalyst, I guess, for everything that came after, which was, the new metal kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Just thought it was incredible. So that was, that was a huge impact on my musical life. And the next one's could not be polar opposite is Jeff Buckley's Grace.
Okay.
And I
knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
I know, and I know you said that it doesn't necessarily have to be one of your best albums, but in this case, it probably is my desert island album because when I was at school, it was you either like heavy music or you didn't, or it was rave at the time. It was grungers against ravers, and I was always putting the grungers thing, but I was like, no, I'm a metalhead. And you like that, or you liked other stuff. There was no, you didn't like, it's one or the other. And then Jeff Buckley kind of came along, and it was after, I think it might have been after he died actually. And I was around a friend's house, and he put it on, and it was really weird because it's one of those albums where you like, it's not an instant hitter, but there was something in it that kind of said, wow, you can make beautiful music that can still punch you in the gut as well, like emotionally, but also musically. And to this day, I actually saw I don't know if you've seen it, the documentary. It's called It's Never Over. I watched it at the cinema, and I made sure I watched it at the cinema. I had a bottle of wine with me. And like, I know it's weird because I knew what was coming, but when it got to the end and obviously he died and stuff as well, I was just in tears. And it weirdly, Grace, although it wasn't really a prophetic album in that that was always going to lead to that, there are elements of that, elements of his manic depressive nature and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a beautiful album, but it really punches you in the gut.
I think that's,
and it stayed with me.
Yeah, it's one of those albums that it does stick with. I mean, I've got a copy of it. I think my wife has a copy of it, and my friends have copies of the CD. And it was just one of those albums that was like I say, polar opposite to everything we're kind of listening to, but because it had it had this genuine feel to it. It's very rare with some albums where you get that kind of, like you say, that gut punch with it, but you could feel the emotion. The music was, it's emotively played as well, like, if that makes sense. It's a sort of
Oh no,
perfect,
yeah,
like, you can get music that kind of like it plays to the points where you want it to go. I'm not saying they play by numbers, but you get that kind of like verse chorus, very formulaic. Whereas this just had this flow to it. But it, like, and lyrically it was just like, yeah, that kind of like, say, gut punch, probably the best term we can use.
yeah, and there are very few people that can do that, and it's weird as well because he's always renowned for his vocal performance and his range. But you watch Mystery White Boy, and like as a guitarist, how does he? It's incredible. He's an
It's
incredible
horrible.
guitarist. He's an incredible poet, and the production on that as well. Andy Wallace, I think, produced that album. He also, I think, mixed. Am I right? Did he? I think he mixed Roots as well. So maybe I've just got a thing for Andy Wallace, but it's yeah, the production
Did
on
loads of the Deftones stuff as well, didn't he?
yeah, I think he did. So yeah, I think and the production on it is it's incredible. That it's and I think it will stand up in the way that you know Zeppelin, well, it already is, but we're only 20 years on. But I think in another 50 years, it will still be one of those albums that people will hopefully go back and rediscover and say, well, this, and it's so vulnerable as well. It's
Yeah,
great.
and every time it's kind of reissued, it does hit. Like, my kids found it. I think it was a record store day reissue that they did. But they were like, "Well, what's this?" Because they like to go through that list and kind of discover new things. And one of my kids is very much into kind of emo. Yes, is the thing, like modern day emo as well as the classic stuff. Um, but yeah, she found it and she was like, "Who have you heard of this?" And I'm like, "Great." She goes, cried. Like, it just hits everyone. I think it just hits everyone the same. It's one of those universally, like, it just hits everybody in that and in the feels, I guess. Term the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And then obviously,
So,
like I said, polar opposite, Roots, Bloody Roots by Sepultura. Absolutely, I remember that track on Headbangers Ball, Super Rock, whatever it ended up being called. The video of them just playing in the middle of some desert area, wooded area. And I mean, that album as well, with like Ratamahatta and stuff like that on it. It was
yeah,
like total, like, bizarre cultural hit. But I don't know. It was like, I mean, Sepultura is just one of those bands throughout the years of, especially the Cavalera years, really kind of like hit those notes, and it was the catalyst for a lot of the stuff we got out, because I think they brought a lot of those bands along with them as well. They had them guesting on Cavalera, did Soulfly. There's like Chino, Fred Durst, Benji,
yeah.
Red, Dub War at the time. Were all guests on that first album. So he's responsible for a lot of that movement. I've been fortunate enough to have him as a guest, Joe. So
Have
I was
you really?
able to actually talk to him about it. It was great, and I've also had Derek as well, for sort of, like, say, more modern iteration of Sepultura. He's been in that band for over 25 years,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and sort of talk about that as well, and like how Sepultura have kind of grown from there, and their albums, like, from there, they still hit. Like, some of the more modern ones, good. But those
Yeah,
Cavalier,
I had it on. I had it on in the car the other day, and I mean, it's just so heavy, but it's so groovy,
yeah,
which just sounds ridiculous, but it really is, and it's like you just nod your head to it, and it obviously incorporates the stuff from the Zavante tribe in Brazil and all that. It's just, I mean, it is innovative and it is progressive, and it's, I mean, and it's so heavy. Don't know if I said that. Yeah, I
No, you
love it.
don't. Yeah.
I think the album hit 25 years this year. It's 25th anniversary. Roots, Bloody Roots.
Do you know what? I think it's 96. So I think it's actually 30 years.
30 years. Older than I thought. But still, I mean, that's crazy to even think of that. Like, going back when, MTV had Super Rock and had Headbangers Ball and had all these things. That you don't get to see those. You don't get the impact of those videos anymore. And not saying that bands don't make good videos. They do. Our good videos, but like it just gets stuck in algorithm hell or purgatory. I think I like to call it. But yeah, I mean, going on to your next, the other choice was Pink Floyd. Again, another immortal band like throughout the years, and yeah, David Gilmour's playing is almost second to none. Like it's like Jeff Buckley. You kind of like have that like musician like instrument intelligence. I guess. The thing of like just being able to push these notes out in only the way they could, like how they play. Like they just get to explore this instrument inside and out and understand it in ways that even from a musician's point of view is really difficult to kind of think about unless you are dedicated to that instrument and you are like you just put it through anything to make it sound like something. Just explore this. But yeah, I mean,
Incredible.
Not much else that can be said about them. They are who they are. They are legends, immortals. I like to call them because I keep using the word legends. I'm going to keep using immortals for the bigger bands or the bigger names. But I got one last question for you guys. So when you're not doing music, stuff like that, what are your hobbies? What is your pastime?
Phil.
That's a really good question. I suppose when I'm not doing this, I'm doing other musical stuff. I'm still just taking on a mix, some masters. So I'm just constantly just like Reaper is my video game, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just playing with plugins. I'm not shooting people. So yeah, I suppose that's my hobby. And when I haven't got a 6-month-old child, I do like to kind of keep fairly fit as well, but that's not happening at the minute. So I'm just going to sit on the computer instead and make some noises, I think.
What about yourself, Ollie?
That's me.
I mean, I've got a few. I mean, I play poker.
Okay.
Yeah, I love playing poker. If people say, what would your dream job be if it wasn't, music or whatever, but it would be that. But it's a young person's game now. You have to be 18, living in your parents' basement and playing 14 hours a day and then analysing with your hands. But I play once a month at a pub near me, and I love it. It's something about the felt and the chips and the company. It's all good. And I'm a big football fan as well, so I watch. I'm a Crystal Palace fan.
Okay.
So yeah, I love that. And yeah, I guess I like to keep fit when I can as well. But I've just moved house recently and I haven't had the time to do it. But I'm by the coast, so I'm looking forward to getting out running by the coast.
Hopefully, Crystal Palace will lift another trophy this season.
Hopefully, you've been following them as well. Yeah, hopefully they will.
Yeah, hopefully they will. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm having to follow the other teams, see how well they're doing because we've had a bit of a shocker.
It has been a bit of a shocker, especially from last season.
Yeah.
And I like Liverpool as well. I've always had a little soft spot for them since I was a kid. Because when I was growing up, they were the team. It was before first division. There was no Premier League. And they were winning everything. So yeah, I've always liked them.
But thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your time this evening and everything to talk about your band Mercers. Everyone, the new EP is out on the 17th of July. It's called the Liminal Tapes. You can hear a track now called Cleanse Repeat. You can go find that on your streaming service, on your Bandcamp, or maybe you find it. I'm sure it's there somewhere. It's quite easy to get it on the digital services these days, which is nice. But no, you can go find that. And yeah, where can they find you guys? Like socials.
We're on Instagram. We've got one of those on Facebook. Is Facebook still a thing? I don't know. We're on Facebook, but yeah, go to Instagram. There's some links on there, and
yeah. So we're on Instagram. We're Mercers Band.
Mercers Band. Cool.
Mercers Band on Instagram, and yeah, bio's on there, so you can get everything else from there.
Nice. So everyone go find them on there. I say EP's out 17th July. Thank you again, Ollie, Phil. I really appreciate your time. Say good luck with
Thank
everything
you.
on that, and hopefully
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
we will cross paths out in the real world once you guys are out and about playing shows and whatnot. Really good to sort of catch up in person. And yeah, have a good evening.
Well, when we're playing live, we'll get on the guest list and we'll have a beer.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Cool. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much. Cheers.